Good afternoon from Sacred Space at Titania's Realm. It's Friday, Shabbat Shalom, as of sunset this evening, that is. It's Friday, the 12th of December 2025, and the time is 12:53 p.m. I've only just really got myself sorted as of the last hour or so. I woke up at 6 and I was extraordinarily tired still, so I put myself back to sleep for a few more hours, got up at 9, felt a bit more human, but I can tell I'm still exhausted because I've been doing silly things like I went in the laundry twice to bring out the cushion to sit on and had to put the other cushion back, and forgot that I went in there to clean my glasses, and just sort of really odd little dottery things, which means I'm tired. I did a lot yesterday, and my nervous system, one day I function and over-function, and the next day, and I've always been that way. I've been that way since very early infancy. So I just thought I would take it easy today and just kind of relax. I've just espied, I've got to show you and take you over there. My chasteberry tree is flowering, but only at the top. But I just noticed the lovely purple flowers. Let me just turn you around. It's just so lovely, this tree. Can you see it? Just bring it down a bit. No. There. Aren't they lovely? There's not a lot of flowers on it yet, but it's just starting to strut its stuff. And anyway, the flowers turn to little berries, which were traditionally used to keep monks in medieval monasteries from feeling their oats. I don't think it worked too well, given how many cemeteries were dug up with lots of fetuses, which is a horrible, horrible thing. But men and women, regardless of their religious proclivities or their vows of chastity, still had quite a bit of sex, people of Earth, and pregnancies were the ultimate outcome of all of that. But anyway, the idea is that the chasteberries are designed to lower a man's libido, and they're supposed to be good for a woman in menopause, although I didn't end up utilising them. I thought I just don't know what I'm playing with and dosages, and didn't want to mess about it. But I grow it because it was given to me, that tree. The lady that gave it to me also gave me the coffee tree, and she gave me some arrowroot. They come up from time to time, but I haven't seen them for a while. I think they've been smothered by all that other stuff I grow there. But anyway, this was many years ago, and she'd be happy to know that her chasteberry tree that she gifted me is blooming and strutting its stuff. So, just wanted to show you that. And as I was about to say, I'm just going to take it easy today, because I've been very busy in the recent months, so it's been a bit hectic, and hectic by my standards. And I'm happy with what I made with that little pin cushion I made yesterday. I'm very contented, and no doubt it shall get put to good use. If not, it's a bit whimsical, and it's out being used for something where before it was just shoved in a cupboard. I'm thinking about doing another cull of my inherited china. There's still a lot of china that I never actually use, and it just lies there, lying fallow, doing nothing. And some of it's quite valuable china. Trouble is, people won't pay you much for it because people are stingy and don't appreciate exquisite German fine bone china and want it all for nothing, and I get pissed off when that happens. So anyway, so it sits there because I don't like being pissed off over the value of things and not being paid the right price for things, and all that stuff really pisses me off. But I did sell one little vase during COVID very cheaply for $20, and then the woman got in the car and went, "Ha ha, sucker!" Like, what a bitch! You fuck you. Instead of being like, "Wow, I've got a bargain, I'm going to tell all my friends I've got a bargain and be happy about it," she was condescending. Never mind, I thought, never have to see that entity again. They really are entities. They've been harvested. They're no longer human. A lot of them. Not everyone, but people like that, you just think, yeah, keep boosting, bitches. You've just seeded your soul and you're just a moving, walking, talking, eating shitting entity with no soul. Evacuated completely out. She was one. But on the other hand, I still meet really quite lovely people. So not everyone's, how can I put it delicately? Not everyone's been fully body snatched yet. I'm thinking it's kind of a process though. Like it'll take a few more years before we see the full impact of it all. How many people have descended into neurological disorders like dementia or Alzheimer's or MS or other autoimmune type neurological diseases. It's going to be very chilling and terrifying. I think that's the other reason why I'm kind of bunkering down in my little house and avoiding as much contact as possible with other humanoids, except when I go dancing, because that's my defiance and that's my being out there in the world, inspiring others to keep being defiant and living their best lives too. Because if we all descend into some kind of dementia or soothe our souls completely, there'll be fucking nothing to dance about, I can assure you. So the Mamatu keeps doing what she's always done, living as joyously as she can possibly manage and flying in the face of societal destruction and genocidal proclivities. It's just beyond foul, people of Earth. But anyway, I discovered yesterday when I made my pumpkin soup that I literally bought it when my marriage came to an end, so we're talking 1995, so it's 30 years old. My bar mix, the motor was trying to work, but it wouldn't spin in the mechanism, so I tried oiling it and praying over it and swearing. I tried everything, and then I thought about it. I thought, why am I upsetting myself over this little machine? It's 30 years old. I haven't used it a great deal, but it's it's old, it's worn out. So I bought another one. I thought, fuck it, I'm not going to live in self-abnegation anymore. So, I'm going to be juggling for the next 6 months, paying all these little things off, but I'm sick of striving and struggling and not having the right equipment to do jobs around the house, and there's no one really to help me, and I'm just like, I've got to pull it together. People of Earth. And anyway, so the soup, I had to mash the soup the old-fashioned way with what do you call it? You mash potatoes with it. That mashing, thumping thing didn't really work to as much effect as a bar mix does, so it ground my gears. And then I looked at the old bar mix. I thought I could probably pull it apart. It probably just needs oil inside the mechanics, But it had special three-pointed screws, and I bought special screwdrivers for my Bosch washing machine that is like a star shape, 5-pointed. But I'm positive I don't have anything to pull those screws out. So I thought, well, I could buy the screwdriver Even though I've bought a new one, I might actually try and buy the right screwdriver for it, because I could hear the engine trying to go. So something's seized up inside. So, like we all do over time, people of Earth, arthritis. Wake up every morning writhing in agony with my left wrist. Don't know what that's about, but some kind of arthritis. It looks okay, like the joint's not poking out like it did with my finger. But anyway, a bit worried about that, to be honest. It's very painful in the mornings. But yeah, I'm going to hold on to the old bar mix. I was just going to chuck it out, but I thought, you know what, I might just try and buy the special screwdriver bits, which it's an unusual shape. I'll have to ask at Bunnings if they have it. And don't even know what you'd call that. It's not a star screwdriver, it's just got 3 points. And anywho, pull it apart, give it an oil, whack it back. We might get another 10 years out of it. In which case I'll be kind of annoyed that I didn't actually need a brand new one, but I figure I'll get a new one because 30 years out of a machine is, you know, a good innings. I'm satisfied with that. And then if I can't fix the old one, in the meantime I've got one to work with and stay in the flow of abundance, people of Earth. The flow of abundance. Send money now. I'm not waving, I'm drowning. I'm not drowning, I'm waving. No, I'm joking. Nobody has to send me any money. Just be nice if the gods blessed me once in a while, you know, with just extra, so that I can live a little bit less stressfully and not have to go into debt for stupid little things like that. Well, it's not stupid, it's something I use a lot in the kitchen, so it's not stupid. Anyway, there's me, worrying, my anxiety undercurrent, worrying all the time about, you know, monetary things, and it's actually a kind of a madness, because, you know, I have a roof over my head and food in my belly, clothes on my back. My car's still operational, but it does need a service. And, you know, I've got a little bit of money put aside for that, but I don't think it'll be enough, so I've got to keep sort of saving up for that. It's a pity I can't put that on bloody Zip Pay as well, otherwise I would. Anywho, it'll happen. It will happen. And, yeah, the Mama T at Titania's realm, living in harmony with all that is, was, and ever shall be, is doing okay. Doing okay. So Kermie spent 2 nights now sleeping in Beau's cage. But I notice there's lots of like dents on the top of his head, on his feathers. I think they had a fight early in the morning, because it looks like he's been pecked on top of his head, which if he has, he would have been the aggressor in the first instance. And Beau doesn't look like he's got any dents on his feathers, so it looks like someone bet him up. So I'll have to separate them tonight, not be so indulgent and let them get away with whatever they want, whatever. The naughty children birds will be separated, whether he likes it or not. Kermie, are you happy out in the garden? They didn't go out at all yesterday. He was happy to come out today. Very happy. Right, we're 14 minutes in, and I've meandered around, and so let us continue with chapter 9, Queen Alice. "Well, this is grand," said Alice. I never expected I should be a queen so soon, and I'll tell you what it is, Your Majesty, she went on in a severe tone. She was always rather fond of scolding herself. It will never do for you to be lolling about on the grass like that. The queens have to be dignified, you know. Somebody should give that memo to King Charles and Queen Camilla and all the British royal family, especially the most undignified and the most debauched of them all, Prince Andrew and his former wife. Not just dignity, but basic human bloody decency to young women and minors. Well, you know my thoughts on that subject, so we won't go on about that. There's an entire video about that I made about 5 years ago. It was kind of the beginning of my awakening into this awareness that I'm in this world alone and great evil is walking amongst us and seeping like a pestilent fucking thing, and I'm going to have to somehow survive it. So here I am, being a queen, not a real queen, you understand, but being dignified like a queen in my sacred space garden, speaking my truth, holding my truth, living my truth, in a post-COVIDian epoch, zombie apocalypse. It's actually quite astonishing. Quite astonishing. But here we are. If I can do it, so can you, people of Earth. Just remember that. I probably have less money than most of you, and I'm somehow surviving. It's not about money though, is it though? It's about attitude, intellect, wisdom, courage, determination, grace, peace, dignity, and love. Love for oneself, one's home, one's garden, one's pets, one's friends, one's family, if you have, you know, a lover, a sexual partner, a spouse. Love for that person as well. Love for the multiverse. Love for the ones still waking up after the last 5 years of absolute atrophy and insanity and destruction and draconian fascistic poisoning of my species. Love the unlovable. Wow, that's a bridge too far. We won't quite go there with those kind of monsters. Like that moron that came to my gate. Ugh, vile beyond belief. Anyway, I just want to have a bath when I think about it. Thinking I would ever vote for that creature ever again. That unhuman, anti-humanist, devoid of soul creature. But we mustn't think about it. Where were we? She's reminding herself to be dignified, which is a very good thing to do. So she got up and walked about, rather stiffly just at first, as she was afraid that the crown might come off, but she comforted herself with the thought that there was nobody to see her. And if I really am a queen, she said, as she sat down again, I shall be able to manage it quite well in time, indeed. As soon as you get raised up into a higher status than you're accustomed to, it takes a bit of getting used to, people of Earth. Ask me how I know. some of those entities that raised me up to higher status thought they were taking the piss out of me, though, didn't they? Little did they know, I really am powerful and a queen of my own destiny. Scotty Baby even used to mouth it to me in songs. Destiny, destiny. Thinking he was winding me up and causing me emotional distress. I would just smile and nod. Yes, I have my destiny. I don't know what it is yet. At the moment, it's spending a lot of money on, things that are of practical use, so I don't regret it, but a woman who doesn't own her own home and hasn't for 30 years, struggling as I do, maybe that's my destiny, to find a way out of Struggle Street and into Prosperity Street. But the things that involve me being prosperous, like selling my soul and forcing sales onto people, slimy, or, working in jobs that cause me to break down because of the systemic abuse and the bullying. I can't survive in the real world. I said that to my psychiatrist on Wednesday. He nodded. He said, yes, I realise that too. My nervous system has been stretched too far and come back from too many near deaths, and there's been too much abuse. I just literally cannot function in ordinary reality. That's why I'm a shaman. That's why people come to me and say, help me, because they know, they can sense I'm not like other humanoids. And in some ways it makes it very difficult to, find loves and lovers or partners or form relationships, form friendships, because I'm quite odd. I'm an oddball. I was honest about that with my former friend too. I told him from the very beginning, I'm an oddball. Yes, Tanya, I do know that. I'll never understand why it all turns so rancid. But anyway, free will, people of Earth. People have their own choices to make and reasons why they do things, but ultimately I have my own destiny, and so does that person too. Kermie, why are you going to sleep? Are you a sleepy birdie? He says, be quiet. He opened one eye. He's like, can you just be quiet? I was happy here. All right, Kermie. So she's telling herself that she'll manage it quite well in time, being an actual queen with an actual crown. Everything was happening so oddly that she didn't feel a bit surprised at finding the Red Queen and the White Queen sitting close to her, one on each side. She would have liked very much to ask them how they came there, but she feared it would not be quite civil. However, there would be no harm, she thought, in asking if the game was over. Please, would you tell me, she began, looking timidly at the Red Queen. Speak when you're spoken to, the Queen sharply interrupted her. But if everybody obeyed that rule, said Alice, who was always ready for a little argument, and if you only spoke when you were spoken to, and the other person always waited for you to begin, you see, nobody would ever say anything, so that, honestly, I feel like I've got spirits all around me listening in. It's very odd. That's why you see me looking to the gate. I can feel them all behind me in that semicircle they line up in. I wonder why that is. Well, it's Friday. I should probably go dancing tonight, but my favourite band is playing at a venue that is my sworn enemy, Irish Murphys. I'll never forgive them for what they did to me. So I won't go there. And yeah, I don't know who's playing at the Brooklyn Standard tonight. I'll see how I feel if the Call of the Wild happens and I feel the need to dance. I'll probably go the Brooklyn Standard, even though it'll be different bands. It doesn't hurt to go to different bands and, you know, support different bands. I used to do that every Friday at the casino. Whatever band played, I supported them. Some of them were bloody woeful too, to be honest. Oh, good God. Some of them that were woeful have improved over time. Practice, 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 am I right? And, oh, you have to laugh. The things I used to tolerate at the casino were just beyond. I was quite glad in a way that they drove me out of there with their viciousness at last. I'm too old to play nice and tolerate this fucking epic shithole, you know. But anyway, there you go. You kind of have to laugh. Speak when you're spoken to, the Queen sharply interrupted her. Oh, we read that, didn't we? Yes, we did. If you only spoke when you were spoken to, the other person always waited for you to begin. You see, nobody would ever say anything. So that, she's right, you know, sometimes you just got to be courageous and speak out first. Ridiculous, cried the Queen. Why, don't you see, child? Here she broke off with a sudden frown, and after thinking for a minute, suddenly changed the subject of the conversation. What do you mean by, if you really are a queen, what right have you to call yourself so? You can't be a queen, you know, till you've passed the proper examination, and the sooner we begin it, the better. I only said if, poor Alice pleaded in a piteous tone. The two queens looked at each other, and the Red Queen remarked with a little shudder, she says she only said if. But she said a great deal more than that, the White Queen moaned, wringing her hands. Oh, ever so much more than that. So you did, you know, the Red Queen said to Alice. Always speak the truth. Think before you speak and write it down afterwards. I'm sure I didn't mean, Alice was beginning. But the Red Queen interrupted her impatiently. That's just what I complain of. You should have meant. What do you suppose is the use of a child without any meaning? Even a joke should have some meaning, and a child's more important than a joke, I hope. You couldn't deny that if you tried with both hands. I don't deny things with my hands, Alice objected. Nobody said you did, said the Red Queen. I said you couldn't if you tried. She's in that state of mind, said the White Queen, that she wants to deny something, only she doesn't know what to deny. Of a nasty, vicious temper, the Red Queen remarked. And then there was, ouch, an uncomfortable silence for a minute or two. The Red Queen broke the silence by saying to the White Queen, I invite you to Alice's dinner party this afternoon. Excuse me. caught a bit of a summer cold because I get too hot, you know. I sleep nude in summer. Not TMI, I know, but that's how I sleep. And then I get overheated under my doona cover, and then I throw it off. And then I get cold, and I pull the blanket over. But all this on, off all night, I've caught a bit of a cold or an allergy perhaps. This morning and last night, I was sneezing. I couldn't stop sneezing. It was awful. But it's just weird, the stinking heat to actually catch some kind of a cold. But it is what it is. Right, where was I? A nasty, vicious temper. Oh, no, I've read that. The Red Queen broke the silence by saying to the White Queen, I invite you to Alice's dinner party this afternoon. The White Queen smiled feebly and said, and I invite you. I didn't know I was to have a party at all, said Alice. But if there is to be one, I think I ought to invite the guests. We gave you the opportunity of doing it, the Red Queen remarked. But I dare say that you've not had many lessons in manners yet. Manners are not taught in lessons, said Alice. Lessons teach you to do sums and things of that sort. She's got a point there. They really should teach people in school or somehow through the social construct more basic bloody manners. It's getting really appalling what I see, even the way people are driving now, and lack of couth and evacuated souls. It's all I can think of that's the cause of it. It's absolutely appalling. But anyway. Can you do addition? The White Queen asked. What's one and one and one and one and one and one and one? I don't know, said Alice. I lost count. She can't do addition, the Red Queen interrupted. Can you do subtraction? Take 9 from 8. 9 from 8 I can't, you know, Alice replied very readily. But she can't do subtraction, said the White Queen. Can you do division? I'm being bitten by something hyenas. Ow, it really hurts. It's already done them. It's probably one of those dreadful March flies. It's copped me when I wasn't aware. Yeah, massive lump on my leg. By all the gods. I hate those flies. They draw blood too. It's really stinging. It's possible that it was a bull ant too. Here goes my nose starting to stream all of a sudden. I was fine before, wasn't I? Anyway. She can't do Gonna have to get a tissue. Right, sorry, back. She can't do subtraction, said the White Queen. Can you do division? Divide a loaf by a knife. What's the answer to that? I suppose, Alice was beginning, but the Red Queen answered for her. Bread and butter, of course. Try another subtraction sum. Take a bone from a dog, or what remains. Alice considered. The bone wouldn't remain, of course, if I took it, and the dog wouldn't remain. It would come to bite me, and I'm sure I shouldn't remain. Then you think nothing would remain? Said the Red Queen. I think that's the answer. Wrong as usual, said the Red Queen. The dog's temper would remain. Oh, cold tea, gross. Then you... oh, where was I? Lost it. But I don't see how. Why? Now I'm being buzzed again by that same insect that buzzes me every day. It's determined, isn't it? It's quite sweet. It's probably my most ardent lover. A fruit fly buzzing me. Fruity. Why, look here, the Red Queen cried. The dog would lose its temper, wouldn't it? Perhaps it would, Alice replied cautiously. Then, if the dog went away, its temper would remain, the Queen exclaimed triumphantly. Alice said as gravely as she could, they might go different ways. But she couldn't help thinking to herself, what dreadful nonsense we are talking. She can't do sums a bit, the Queen said together with great emphasis. Can you do sums? Alice said, turning suddenly on the White Queen, for she didn't like being found fault with so much. The Queen gasped and shut her eyes. I can do addition, she said, if you give me time, but I can't do subtraction under any circumstances. Of course, you know your ABC, said the Red Queen. To be sure I do, said Alice. So do I, the White Queen whispered. We'll often say it over together, dear, and I'll tell you a secret. I can read words of one letter. Isn't that grand? However, don't be discouraged. You'll come to it in time. Here the Red Queen began again. Can you answer useful questions, she said. How is bread made? I know that, Alice cried eagerly. You take some flour. Where do you pick the flour? The White Queen asked. In a garden or in the hedges? Well, it isn't picked at all, Alice explained. It's ground. How many acres of ground? Said the White Queen. You mustn't leave out so many things. Fan her head, the Red Queen anxiously interrupted. She'll be feverish after so much thinking. So they set to work and fanned her with bunches of leaves till she had to beg them to leave off. It blew her hair about so. She's all right again now, said the Red Queen. Do you know languages? What's the French for fiddle-dee-dee? Fiddle-dee-dee's not English, Alice replied gravely. Whoever said it was? Said the Red Queen. Alice thought she saw a way out of the difficulty this time. If you'll tell me what language a fiddle-dee-dee is, I'll tell you the French for it, she exclaimed triumphantly. But the Red Queen drew herself up rather stiffly and said, Queens never make bargains? Interesting that. Do they or don't they? I know a queen that paid off $12 million to save her son's tuchus and keep him out of a world court. And then she upped and died. Oh, to be fair, she was quite elderly at the time though. Had a good long innings, good old Liz did. Kermie's got a blueberry in his beak and he was struggling to get up on his swing with it in his beak. Well done, Kermie. That gave you a bit of a challenge, didn't it? Clever boy. Right. I wish queens never asked questions, Alice thought to herself. Don't let us quarrel, the White Queen said in an anxious tone. What is the cause of lightning? The cause of lightning, Alice said very decidedly, for she felt quite certain about this, is the thunder. No, she hastily corrected herself. I meant the other way. It's too late to correct it, said the Red Queen. When you've once said a thing, that fixes it, and you must take the consequences. Which reminds me, the White Queen said, looking down and nervously clasping and unclasping her hands. We had such a thunderstorm last Tuesday. I mean, one of the last set of Tuesdays, you know. Alice was puzzled. In our country, she remarked, there's only one day at a time. The Red Queen said, that's a poor, thin way of doing things. Now, here, we mostly have days and nights, 2 or 3 at a time. And sometimes in the winter, we take as many as 5 nights together. For warmth, you know. Are 5 nights warmer than 1 night then? Alice ventured to ask. 5 times as warm, of course. But they should be 5 times as cold by the same rule. Just so, cried the Red Queen. 5 times as warm and 5 times as cold. Just as I'm 5 times as rich as you are and 5 times as clever. Alice sighed and gave it up. It's exactly like a riddle with no answer, she thought. Humpty Dumpty saw it too, the White Queen went on in a low voice, more as if she were talking to herself. He came to the door with a corkscrew in his hand. What did he want? Said the Red Queen. He said he would come in, the White Queen went on, because he was looking for a hippopotamus. Now, as it happened, there wasn't such a thing in the house that morning. Is there generally? Alice asked in an astonished tone. Well, only on Thursdays, said the Queen. I know what he came for, said Alice. He wanted to punish the fish because, here the White Queen began again. It was such a thunderstorm, you can't think. She never could, you know, said the Red Queen. And part of the roof came off, and ever so much thunder got in, and it went rolling around the room in great lumps, and knocking over the tables and things, till I was so frightened I couldn't remember my own name. Alice thought to herself, I should never try to remember my name in the middle of an accident. There would be no use of it. But she did not say this aloud for fear of hurting the poor Queen's feelings. "Your Majesty must excuse her," the Red Queen said to Alice, taking one of the White Queen's hands in her own and gently stroking it. "She means well, but she can't help saying foolish things as a general rule." The White Queen looked timidly at Alice, who felt she ought to say something kind, but really couldn't think of anything at the moment. "She never was really well brought up," the Red Queen went on, "but it's amazing how good-tempered she is. Pat her on the head and see how pleased she'll be." But this was more than Alice had courage to do. A little kindness and putting her hair in papers would do wonders with her. The White Queen gave a deep sigh and the fruit flies back, and laid her head on Alice's shoulders. "I am so sleepy," she moaned. "She's tired, poor thing," said the Red Queen. "Smooth her hair, lend her your nightcap, and sing her a soothing lullaby." "I haven't got a nightcap with me," said Alice, as she tried to obey the first direction, "and I don't know any soothing lullabies." "I must do it myself then," said the Red Queen, and she began. "Hush-a-bye, lady, in Alice's lap, till the feast's ready, we've time for a nap. When the feast's over, we'll go to the ball, Red Queen and White Queen, and Alice and all." "And now you know the words," she added. She put her head down on Alice's other shoulder. "Just sing it through to me. I'm getting sleepy too." In another moment, both queens were fast asleep and snoring loud. "What am I to do?" exclaimed Alice, looking about in great perplexity, as first one round head and then the other rolled down from her shoulder and lay like a heavy lump in her lap. "I don't think it ever happened before that anyone had to take care of two queens asleep at once. No, not in all the history of England. It couldn't, you know, because there never was more than one queen at a time. Do wake up, you heavy things," she went on in an impatient tone, but there was no answer but a gentle snoring. "Dear Goddess, go away, fruit fly. I've nothing to offer you. I'm not even wearing perfume. It's a pest." Right. The snoring got more distinct every minute and sounded more like a tune. At last she could even make out words, and she listened so eagerly that, when the two great heads suddenly vanished from her lap, she hardly missed them. She was standing before an arched doorway, over which were the words "Queen Alice" in large letters, and on each side of the arch there was a bell handle. One was marked "Visitor's Bell" and the other "Servant's Bell." He's chewing on his swing happily, but that's okay. I bought it for him to swing on and chew on at the same time. He's only just realised he can chew on it, so I'm greatly amused. He had to overcome his fear of new things. It took him well over a month to even get on the bloody swing. He was that frightened of it. Kimmy, you like Mummy when she gets new things. I have a phobia of sewing machines. I won't have a phobia of the bar mix though, because I know how to operate a bar mix, but new things scare the hell out of me. Probably new relationships too, if the truth be known. That's why I'm so avoidant. Can't take risks with my heart anymore. There's been too much damage done over the years. Too many vicious, lackluster, gormless, cowardly, vicious, twat-gobbling fucking arseholes. Seriously. I actually finally thought I'd finally found someone that was lovely and sweet and kind and genuine. And just have to take a moment. It's all a bit odd. All of it. All a bit odd, people of Earth. At least I didn't dream about that entity this morning, which is good. I just don't like dreaming about him. It annoys me. It's taking up psychic space he doesn't belong in. Absolutely. But you can't do anything about what your subconscious is trying to teach you or prepare you for. You just have to go with the flow. I'll wait till the song's over, thought Alice, and then I'll ring the... Which bell must I ring? She went on, very much puzzled by the names. I'm not a visitor, and I'm not a servant. There ought to be one marked Queen, you know. Just then the door opened a little way, and a creature with a long beak put its head out for a moment. Is that you, Kermie? Kermie's snoozing again. And said, no admittance till the week after next, and shut the door again with a bang. Alice knocked and rang in vain for a long time, but at last a very old frog, who was sitting under a tree, got up and hobbled slowly towards her. He was dressed in bright yellow and had enormous boots on. What is it now? The frog said in a deep, hoarse whisper. Alice turned round, ready to find fault with anybody. Where's the servant whose business it is to answer the door? She began angrily. Which door? Said the frog. Alice almost stamped with irritation at the slow drawl in which he spoke. This door, of course. The frog looked at the door with his large, dull eyes for a minute, and then he went nearer and rubbed it with his thumb, as if he were trying whether the paint would come off. And then he looked at Alice. To answer the door, he said. What's it been asking of? He was so hoarse that Alice could hardly hear him. I don't know what you mean, she said. I speaks English, doesn't I? The frog went on. Or are you deaf? What did it ask you? Nothing, Alice said impatiently. I've been knocking at it. Shouldn't do that, shouldn't do that, the frog muttered. Waxes it, you know. Then he went up and gave the door a kick with one of his great feet. You let it alone, he panted out as he hobbled back to its tree. And it'll let you alone, you know. At this moment, the door was flung open and a shrill voice was heard singing, "To the looking-glass world it was Alice that said, I've a sceptre in hand, I've a crown on my head. Let the looking-glass creatures, whatever they be." Come and dine with the Red Queen, the White Queen, and me. And hundreds of voices joined in the chorus. Then fill up the glasses as quick as you can and sprinkle the table with buttons and bran. Put cats in the coffee and mice in the tea, and welcome Queen Alice with 30 times 3. Then followed a confused noise of cheering, and Alice thought to herself, 30 times 3 makes 90. I wonder if anyone's counting. In a minute there was silence again, and the same shrill voice sang another verse. "O looking-glass creatures," quoth Alice, "draw near. 'Tis an honour to see me, a favour to hear. 'Tis a privilege high to have dinner and tea, along with the Red Queen, the White Queen, and me." Then came the chorus again. Then fill up the glasses with treacle and ink, or anything else that is pleasant to drink. Mix sand with the cider and wool with the wine, and welcome Queen Alice with 90 times 9. I'm thinking I might make some donuts for Hanukkah on Sunday night, but I'll be the only one eating them, and then I'll get even fatter than I already am, so maybe I won't bother. It's depressing, isn't it? I could always cheat and just go and buy a Krispy Kreme donut somewhere, and then I'll only have one. Misery, misery. We need anarchy and chaos. We need to make a sufganiyot by the dozen and eat, drink and be merry, because Hanukkah comes only but once a year. Life should be celebrated and rejoiced in, people of Earth. There's been too much misery in my world. Far, far too much. So yes, I've decided I will make some. I don't think it's that hard, it's just time consuming. But it's not hard. The last time I tried to make these little Krispy Kreme donut recipe. They came out like little tiny balls. I was really disappointed. That's bollocks. That recipe cannot be right. They tasted sort of okay, but I was really disappointed in them. I really was. "What you doing, Kermie?" He says, "When are you going to make that cheesecake, Mama? I've got to go and buy the biscuits for the base now. I forgot them, Kermie. I had all the best laid plans of mice and men, and then I lost the foundational part of the whole cake." "You'll be right, Mama," he says. "You'll get on the program. You've got your bar mix coming too. I'll be able to whip up soups again. That'll be nice." Right. The way I carry on, you'd think I was a great cook, wouldn't you? I actually couldn't give a flying fuck about cooking. But, you know, if you're going to do it, you've got to have the right equipment, because it's just frustrating otherwise. Same as silversmithing. If you buy cheap tools, it's just so dissatisfying and miserable and cheap and nasty. I hate creating things that are cheap and nasty. That's why I refuse to deal in just, ordinary costume jewellery, apart from, the little Matryoshka dolls and a few pieces I've made that are costume. I don't like plastic jewellery usually. Although I was tempted to buy those little cockatiel earrings that were done in laser cut in plastic because they were cute. So I don't know what I'm talking about. Sometimes I do like plastic jewellery, but I got stuck with boxes and boxes of really rotted out because it had been left out in the rain, but it was also rotten from age, from 30 years prior when my mother had market stalls. I got stuck with a lot of her costume stuff, and most of it, I saved what I could that was still okay, but most of it went in the bin because it was rotten. What a waste of all that money that I was paying high rents to her for, keeping a roof over my children's head, and she frittered it away in stupidity and then put in the will that I frittered money. What a fucking nerve. I'm actually very good with money. I don't have a lot of it, but I spread it very thin like butter and keep myself afloat somehow. Often with the generosity of various patrons I've had over the years who've been incredibly generous to me, but I survive, I guess. But yeah, because of that experience of having to throw out, what would have been thousands of dollars worth of jewellery back in the day, just rotten and manky, that will never happen again. If I'm going to make jewellery, it'll be made in sterling silver or gold when and if I can ever afford it, people of Earth. That way, if the economy completely crashes, which is not good really at the moment, if the worst comes to the worst, I can always melt the bloody silver down and have some kind of precious ingots to barter for food for or something. But at the price silver is now, that's not even likely to be a viable option. So it's a bit of a worry actually, people of Earth. I don't know how I'm going to continue on this planet, but then I've never known. I didn't know how I was going to continue 31 years ago, when I left my marriage, almost 31. And somehow I've struggled through for 31 years alone. It's formidable. Be nice if I could find a loving partner that didn't treat me like crap and was generous and honouring to me and actually supported me and helped me not just survive but thrive, people of Earth. Here's to the thriving. Cheers. L'chaim. Anyway, thriving is 90% headspace too. You've just got to express gratitude and mindfulness and appreciate what you do have. Try not to think of all the things that are missing. Then you sort of stay in some kind of homeostasis or some kind of manic denialist euphoria. But it works for me, people of Earth. It works for me. It keeps me alive against all odds. It's a bit odd. It doesn't make sense to anyone else, but it works for me. Oh, the wind's come up, boys. Oh, Kemi lifted his wings so he could feel that right under his feathers. Is that lovely? Bit of a breeze. You're such a good bird, Kermie. You're a very good boy. And Bo's a good boy too. You went running up. What about me? What about me? You're both very good boys. Right, here we go. And then came the chorus again. Then fill up the glasses with treacle and ink or anything else that is pleasant to drink. Mix sand with the cider and wool with the wine. And welcome Queen Alice with 90 times 9. I don't want wool in my wine or sand in my cider. Just ruin that lovely party for me. 90 times 9, Alice repeated in despair. Oh, that'll never be done. I better go in at once. And in she went, and there was a dead silence the moment she appeared. Alice glanced nervously along the table as she walked up the large hall and noticed that there were some 50 guests of all kinds. Some were animals, some birds. There were even a few flowers among them. I'm glad they've come without waiting to be asked, she thought. I should never have known who were the right people to invite. There were 3 chairs at the head of the table. The red and white queens had already taken 2 of them, but the middle one was empty. Alice sat down in it, rather uncomfortable at the silence and longing for someone to speak. At last the Red Queen began. You've missed the soup and fish, she said. Put on the joint. And the waiters set a leg of mutton before Alice, who looked at it rather anxiously, as she had never had to carve a joint before. You look a little shy. Let me introduce you to that leg of mutton, said the Red Queen. Alice, mutton, mutton, Alice. The leg of mutton got up in the dish and made a little bow to Alice. And Alice returned the bow, not knowing whether to be frightened or amused. May I give you a slice, she said, taking up the knife and fork and looking from one queen to the other. Certainly not, the Red Queen said, very decidedly. It isn't etiquette to cut anyone you've been introduced to. Remove the joint. And the waiters carried it off and brought a large plum pudding in its place. I won't be introduced to the pudding, please, Alice said rather hastily, or we should get no dinner at all. May I give you some? But the Red Queen looked sulky and growled, Pudding, Alice, Alice, pudding. Remove the pudding? Oh, I'd be really wild if that happened. Pudding is my most favourite thing of the whole meal. Just so you know. I do like my pudding. And the waiters took it away so quickly that Alice couldn't return its bow. However, she didn't see why the Red Queen should be the only one to give orders. So, as an experiment, she called out, Waiters, bring back the pudding. And there it was again in a moment, like a conjuring trick. It was so large that she could not help feeling a little shy with it, as she had been with the mutton. However, she conquered her shyness by a great effort and cut a slice and handed it to the Red Queen. What impertinence, said the pudding. I wonder how you'd like it if I were to cut a slice out of you, you creature. It spoke in a thick, suety sort of voice, and Alice hadn't a word to say in reply. She could only sit and look at it and gasp. Make a remark, said the Red Queen. It's ridiculous to leave all the conversation to the pudding. Do you know, I've had such a quantity of poetry repeated to me today, Alice began, a little frightened at finding that, the moment she opened her lips, there was a dead silence, and all eyes were fixed on her. And it's a very curious thing, I think. Every poem was about fishes in some way. Do you know why they're so fond of fishes all about here? She spoke to the Red Queen, whose answer was a little wide of the mark. "As to fishes," she said very slowly and solemnly, putting her mouth to Alice's ear, "Her White Majesty knows a lovely riddle, all in poetry, all about fishes. Shall we repeat it?" "Her Red Majesty is very kind to mention it," said the White Queen, murmured into Alice's other ear. "Her White Majesty..." Oh no, wait a minute, where are we? The White Queen murmured into Alice's other ear in a voice like the cooing of a pigeon. "It would be such a treat. May I?" "Please do," Alice said, very politely. The White Queen laughed with delight and stroked Alice's cheek. Then she began. "First, the fish must be caught. That is easy. A baby, I think, could have caught it. Next, the fish must be bought. That is easy. A penny, I think, would have bought it. Now cook me the fish. That is easy and will not take more than a minute. Let it lie in a dish. That is easy, because it already is in it. Bring it here, let me sup. It is easy to set such a dish on the table. Take the dish cover up. That is so hard that I fear I'm unable, for it holds it like glue, holds the lid to the dish while it lies in the middle, which is easiest to do. Dish cover the fish, or dish cover the riddle." "Take a minute to think about it, and then guess," said the Red Queen. "Meanwhile, we'll drink your health. Queen Alice's health." She screamed at the top of her voice, and all the guests began drinking it directly, and very queerly they managed it. Some of them put their glasses upon their heads like extinguishers and drank all that trickled down their faces. Others upset the decanters and drank the wine as it ran off the edges of the table, and 3 of them, who looked like kangaroos, scrambled into the dish of roast mutton and began eagerly lapping up the gravy, just like pigs in a trough, thought Alice. "You ought to return thanks in a neat speech," the Red Queen said, frowning at Alice as she spoke. "We must support you, you know," the White Queen whispered, as Alice got up to do it very obediently, but a little frightened. "Thank you very much," she whispered in reply, "but I can do quite well without." "That wouldn't be at all the thing," the Red Queen said, very decidedly. So Alice tried to submit to it with a good grace. "And they did push so," she said afterwards, when she was telling her sister the story of the feast. "You would have thought they wanted to squeeze me flat." In fact, it was rather difficult for her to keep in her place while she made her speech. The 2 queens pushed her so, one on each side, that they nearly lifted her up into the air. "I rise to return thanks," Alice began, and she really did rise as she spoke, several inches, but she got hold of the edge of the table and managed to pull herself down again. "Take care of yourself," screamed the White Queen, seizing Alice's hair with both her hands. "Something's going to happen!" And then, as Alice afterwards described it, all sorts of things happened in a moment. The candles all grew up to the ceiling, looking something like a bed of rushes with fireworks at the top. As to the bottles, they each took a pair of plates, which they hastily fitted on as wings, and so, with forks for legs, went fluttering about in all directions. And very like birds they look, Alice thought to herself, as well as she could in the dreadful confusion that was beginning. At this moment, she heard a hoarse laugh at her side, and turned to see what was the matter with the White Queen. But instead of the Queen, there was a leg of mutton sitting in the chair. "Here I am!" cried a voice from the soup tureen, and Alice turned again just in time to see the Queen's broad, good-natured face grinning at her for a moment over the edge of the tureen before she disappeared into the soup. There was not a moment to be lost. Already several of the guests were lying down in the dishes, and the soup label was walking up the table towards Alice's chair, beckoning to her impatiently to get out of its way. "I can't stand this any longer," she cried as she jumped up and seized the tablecloth with both hands. One good pull, and plates, dishes, guests, and candles came crashing down together in a heap on the floor. "And as for you," she went on, turning fiercely upon the Red Queen, whom she considered as the cause of all the mischief. But the Queen was no longer at her side. She suddenly dwindled down to the size of a little doll, and was on the table, merrily running round and round after her own shawl, which was trawling behind her. At any other time, Alice would have felt, yes, that should have a have in it. At any other time, Alice would have felt surprised at this. But she was far too much excited to be surprised at anything now. "As for you," she repeated, catching hold of the little creature in the very act of jumping over a bottle which had just lighted upon the table, "I'll shake you into a kitten, that I will." And we'll stop there. No, we won't. We'll continue for 2 more chapters, as they are very, 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 very short. I wonder if I should just carry on, because we're near the end of the book, people of Earth. We'll carry on. We'll carry on to the end. We will reach completion, people of Earth. It won't be quite the same as my dancing catharsis, but we will reach completion. Then I'll have to think of a new story to read for you. Right. She caught hold of the little creature. Chapter 10. She took her off the table as she spoke, and shook her backwards and forwards with all her might. The Red Queen made no resistance whatever, only her face grew very small and her eyes got large and green. And still, as Alice went on shaking her, she kept on growing shorter and fatter and softer and rounder. And chapter 11, Waking. And it really was a kitten after all. Chapter 12. It turned away its head and pretended not to see it. Chapter 12. Which dreamed it. Your Red Majesty shouldn't purr so loud, Alice said, rubbing her eyes and addressing the kitten respectfully yet with some severity. Oh, there's a big black butterfly just went past. You woke me out of such a nice dream, and you've been along with me, Kitty, all through the Looking Glass world. Did you know it, dear? It is a very inconvenient habit of kittens, Alice had once made the remark, that whatever you say to them, they always purr. If they would only purr for yes and mew for no, or any rule of that sort, she had said, so that one could keep up a conversation. Just trying to work this out here. What's wrong with my earrings? They're not sitting right. By the gods. Little things that annoy me in the middle of readings. It's anxiety. It's how I live, people of Earth. A constant state of befuddlement and anxiety. Is this one wonky too? No, that one seems to be okay. Right, okay. If they would only purr for yes and mew for no, or any rule of that sort, she had said, so that one could keep up a conversation. But how can you talk with a person if they always say the same thing? Indeed. On this occasion, the kitten only purred, and it was impossible to guess whether it meant yes or no. So Alice hunted among the chessmen on the table till she had found the Red Queen. Then she went down on her knees on the hearth rug and put the kitten and the Queen to look at each other. Now, Kitty, she cried, clapping her hands triumphantly, confess that was what you turned into. But it wouldn't look at it, she said, when she was explaining the thing afterwards to her sister. It turned away its head and pretended not to see it. But it looked a little ashamed of itself. So I think it must have been the Red Queen. Excuse me. Sit up a little more stiffly, dear, Alice cried with a merry laugh, and curtsy while you're thinking what to purr. It saves time, remember? Oh, excuse me. And she caught it up and gave it one little, just in honour of its having been a Red Queen. Snowdrop, my pet, she went on, looking over her shoulder at the white kitten, which was still patiently undergoing its toilet. When will Dinah have finished with your White Majesty, I wonder? That must be the reason you were so untidy in my dream. Dinah, do you know that you're scrubbing a White Queen? Really, it's most disrespectful of you. And what did Dinah turn to, I wonder? She prattled on, as she settled comfortably down with one elbow on the rug and her chin in her hand to watch the kittens. Tell me, Dinah, Did you turn into Humpty Dumpty? I think you did. However, you'd better not mention it to your friends just yet, for I'm not sure. By the way, Kitty, if only you'd been really with me in my dream, there was one thing you would have enjoyed. I had such a quantity of poetry said to me, all about fishes. Tomorrow morning you shall have a real treat. All the time you're eating your breakfast, I'll repeat the walrus and the carpenter to you, and then you can make believe it's oysters, dear. Now, Kitty, let's consider who it was that dreamed it all. This is a serious question, my dear, and you should not go on licking your paw like that, as if Alice hadn't washed you this morning. You see, Kitty, it must have been either me or the Red King. He was part of my dream, of course, but then I was part of his dream too. Was it the Red King, Kitty? You were his wife, my dear. You ought to know. Oh, Kitty, do help to settle it. I'm sure your paw can wait. But the provoking kitten only began on the other paw, pretended it hadn't heard the question. Which do you think it was? And my beloved Lynn Robertson, for some reason, has bracketed those two verses of that poem, which I find interesting. I wonder what it was she was wanting to memorize. A boat beneath a sunny sky, lingering onward dreamily in an evening of July. Children three that nestle near, eager eye and willing ear, pleased a simple tale to hear. Long has paled that sunny sky, echoes fade and memories die. Autumn frosts have slain July. Still she haunts me, phantom wise, Alice moving under skies, never seen by waking eyes. Children yet the tale to hear, eager eye and willing ear, lovingly shall nestle near. In a wonderland they lie, dreaming as the days go by, dreaming as the summers die. Ever drifting down the stream, lingering in the golden gleam, life, but what is it but a dream? An Easter greeting to every child who loves Alice. Dear child, please to fancy, if you can, that you are reading a real letter from a real friend whom you have seen and whose voice you can seem to yourself to hear, wishing you, as I do now with all my heart, a happy Easter. Do you know that delicious, dreamy feeling when one first wakes on a summer morning with the twitter of birds in the air and the fresh breeze coming in at the open window, when, lying lazily with eyes half shut. One sees as in a dream green boughs waving, or rivers rippling in a golden light. It is a pleasure, very near to sadness, bringing tears to one's eyes like a beautiful picture or poem. And is not that a mother's gentle hand that undraws your curtains, and a mother's gentle voice that summons you to rise? To rise and forget in the bright sunlight the ugly dreams that frightened you so when all was dark. To rise and enjoy another happy day, first kneeling to thank that unseen friend who sends you the beautiful sun. Are these strange words from a writer of such tales as Alice? Or is this a strange letter to find in a book of nonsense? It may be so. Some, perhaps, may blame me for thus mixing together things grave and gay. Others may smile and think it odd that anyone should speak of solemn things at all, except in church and on a Sunday. But I think, nay, I am sure that some children will read this gently and lovingly, and in the spirit in which I have written it. For I do not believe God means us thus to divide life into two halves, to wear a grave face on Sunday, and to think it out of place to even so much as mention Him on a weekday. Do you think He cares to see only kneeling figures and to hear only tones of prayer, and that He does not also love to see the lambs leaping in the sunlight, and to hear the merry voices of the children as they roll among the hay? What do you want from me, creature? You are a fruit fly who's just landed on my arm. It's getting audacious. Hasn't been landing on me, it's just been buzzing me. Well, he's a fruit fly and I'm a human woman. And he can go on being a fruit fly and I'll go on being a human woman for as long as I can. It's another sweet little fly sitting on the table. It's got a little tiny red head and a stripe across its back. It's a tiny little fly and it's busily rubbing its forelegs together, surrounded by very devoted insects at the moment. It's a bit odd. Energy is energy, people of Earth. Life is life, l'chaim. Perhaps they like it when I read stories to my YouTube friends, supporters, family, audience, subscribers, likers, and occasional commenters as well. Surely the innocent laughter is as sweet in his ears as the grandest anthem that ever rolled up from the dim religious light of some solemn cathedral. And if I have written anything to add to those stories of innocent and healthy amusement that are laid up in books for the children I love so well, it is surely something I may hope to look back upon without shame and sorrow, as how much of life must then be recalled when my turn comes to walk through the valley of shadows. This Easter sun will rise on you, dear child, feeling your life in every limb, and eager to rush out into the fresh morning air. And many an Easter day will come and go before it finds you feeble and grey-headed, creeping wearily out to bask once more in the sunlight. But it is good even now to think sometimes of that great morning when the Sun of Righteousness shall arise with healing in his wings, spelt S-U-N. Surely your gladness need not be the less for the thought that you will one day see a brighter dawn than this, when lovelier sights will meet your eyes than any waving trees. I don't know, I rather enjoy waving trees. Or rippling waters, when angel hands shall undraw your curtains, and sweeter tones than ever loving mother breathed shall wake you to a new and glorious day. And when all the sadness and the sin that darkened life on this little earth shall be forgotten like the dreams of a night that is past. Your affectionate friend, Lewis Carroll, Easter 1876. Christmas greetings from a fairy to a child. Lady dear, if fairies may for a moment lay aside cunning tricks and elfish play, 'tis at happy Christmas tide. We have heard the children say, gentle children whom we love, long ago on Christmas Day came a message from above. Still, as Christmas tide comes round, they remember it again. Echo still the joyful sound, peace on earth, goodwill to men. Yet the hearts must childlike be, where such heavenly guests abide. Unto children in their glee, all the year is Christmas tide. Thus, forgetting tricks and play, for a moment, lady dear, we would wish you, if we may, Merry Christmas, glad New Year. Christmas 1867. And thus concludes Alice in Wonderland through the Looking Glass. It's been a pleasure to read to you, people of Earth, men, women, children, those of us who still maintain what's left of our childlike wonder and delight and bliss. I bid you good afternoon and adieu with a kiss.